I'm James Prince Hughes, Kung Fu number 2. This is part 3 of my supernatural stuff. So I left off with my uncle and a Stan Lee thing. So Stan Lee, if you're listening, and if you're secretly the watcher and just not telling anybody, we would like to know. Alright? Especially your real fans, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to read right now at 43. So, when he said that, for those who missed it, what I said was, he said, what if Stan Lee is like the real watcher and he has his mind is subject to tune in whenever he goes to sleep. He sees all these events that's happening in all the comic book universes, and he comes back when he comes back to waking up. He draws them and transfers their adventures to us. So when I think about shit like that, I'm like, maybe my uncle might have actually been hitting on something. And then, I watch shows like Supernatural. I watched shows like Sliders, which all tend to go down that Stan Lee mythology type thing. And I was like, okay, well, maybe Stan Lee might actually be the Watcher. Maybe everything he's told us. Because he was still in pretty much fair control of Marvel in the late 80s and early 90s before they started making all these X-Men and Spider-Man movies, when Stan Lee was still, I guess, editor or whatever the hell it is up there. He had something to do with it. And every time you open up a Marvel, hey, true believers, this is Stan Lee here. True believers, hint, hint. And Excelsior, I started thinking about this shit like maybe a few years back, because I don't do drugs, but sometimes drugs bring crystal clarity to things that we can't understand. And I'm not saying that everybody who has seen Bigfoot has been high, or who have seen ghosts have been high. I've never done drugs a day in my life, and the supernatural has been happening to me when I've been attacked by the witch rider since I was 7 until I was 15. Now, I'll tell you guys this story, so I don't know if you believe it, and I really don't care. I can't prove it. If you're not there, you really can't prove it. And most of the time, and I'm only going to say this once, it is very rare that a supernatural event happens to two people at the same time, unless it's like an alien abduction, or if you're all camping and y'all all see the Bigfoot. you know. But most of the time, it's when you're by yourself when supernatural shit happens. And then you have to explain to people how this shit happened. And sometimes supernatural events could blow with your ass, and no one's there to explain what happens except for maybe the camera. So if something like grabbed me and snatched me off and went through another dimension and that door never opens, this camera's running. So that would explain it, but when they turn this shit over to the government to find out what happened, and then maybe 20 years later I pop back out, I'll still look the same, but time has gone past, and I pop right back out into this room. Someone else would own the house, and all this other shit would be going on, and they'd be like, well, where the hell did you come from? Fuck if I know. Like, well, where did you go? Fuck if I know. Now, in the event, so if you guys are X-Men fan, that kind of did happen. It happened to Magic when she went into limbo, and she came back out at 14. She went in at 7, so she lost 7 years of her life. But it actually happened in no time for us, but for her, she lost 7 years of her life. She came back out grown. So whatever they did to her while she was a little girl, she came back out grown holding the soul sword. So, for you X-Men fans, that's your lesson for the day. But for supernatural stuff, supernatural events happen when you least expect them to happen. You see things, and if you go look on these YouTube pages and you type up some supernatural shit, I'm sure you've seen the guy flying around like a rocket, but he doesn't have a rocket. There's no stream. He's just like Superman. He's just like literally flying around. And then there's like guys that are like dragons and shit like that. And they have shown dead dragons. I can't tell if they're real or not, but they have showed this shit, and so you have to wonder what's real and what's not. They've debunked a lot of these mermaid things. They've debunked a lot of them. All right, the one with the submarine and the mermaid touches the screen. They have proven that to be fake. The dead mermaid on the shore. They have proven that to be fake. Don't know what I just saw there, but they have proven that the mermaid where the guys are on the rocks, where they're on the thing and the water, the mermaid's on the rock. They have said that that's fake. I'm not one of these guys gonna walk around looking for fake shit. No, but when I see them on the thing, if at first glance, I will honestly say I have no way of telling if they're real or fake. I don't have the technology to debunk shit. But I will say this: I believe at one point in time mermaids may have existed because I still believe at one point in time unicorns existed. It might have been hell for their mom to give them birth, but because of the horn and everything. But I'm not gonna say that they haven't existed or that they don't exist. I'm just gonna say that we haven't had tangible proof or finding scientifically to prove them right or wrong. I'm sorry, I'm watching these three kids have a wrestling match outside, like in the basketball court. I guess they're having a wrestling match or they're fighting. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not black kids. Excuse me. I need some tea. I'm also watching ladies golf. And no, Lydia Ko is not playing. She's like my new favorite. Anyway, from New Zealand. So I'm sitting here. I'm watching stuff outside. I'm watching that, and I'm talking about supernatural stuff. And I'm answering a text. The thing with Supernatural, now the TV show, the real stuff, is that proving it is the hardest task. You know, they have had things. They've had the live Exorcist. I didn't watch it just because of the simple fact that I'm not stupid, and you can do anything on TV. I know that to be a fact because I am an independent filmmaker. And the right special effects can make anybody sound like this, or you can be possessed. Let me see if I can try to Undertaker roll my eyes in the back thing. I am the Undertaker. Feel my power. Okay, I have to force my eyes open. I have no idea what that looks like. I'll find out what it looks like when I play it back. But, when it comes to supernatural stuff, we can't prove that it didn't happen. We can't prove that it did happen. So it's that in-between flux of possibility. Alright? And here's the thing. Like I said before, many things are impossible until they're actually done. But we don't have a time machine. So we can't go back to ancient Greek to find out if Cerberus is real. Of course, if you could go back, you'd catch all holy hell trying to catch that bastard. So I don't really think that would be a great idea. No one wants to get ripped in half by a three-headed dog. No one. I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to go and catch the Kraken either. I mean, what would you do with it if you brought it back here? How would you control it? If you're a Terminator 2 fan, then you'll understand where this came from. No fate with what we make, because what we can't control is something that we create. Okay, that's not exactly the way it was said in Terminator 2, but, it's a fact. You can't create something that you can't control. And that's what happens when we play God. If you've read Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, or if you've seen the other Frankenstein movie, that's pretty much the gist of it. And if they kept a tradition where Frankenstein's monster, and for those who don't know, let's make this abundantly clear. Frankenstein's monster is not Frankenstein. Alright? The thing with the neck things on his neck or whatever, he's not Frankenstein. He's Frankenstein's monster. He doesn't have a name. He's a bunch of dead pieces and a bunch of dead bodies. Frankenstein's monster. Alright? Frankenstein's monster is actually the nameless one. Frankenstein was the doctor that created him. For those who can read and get it, and for some reason back in the days that they turned this thing into a movie, Frankenstein became Frankenstein. Yeah. So in that nutshell of knowledge there, a lot of people just don't know it or just don't care. If you watch the Munsters with the daddy who's actually Frankenstein, that's probably another thing that was why we all got it twisted up. So when you're dealing with supernatural shit, it probably pays to be a little bit more on point with that. But when you're reading these supernatural books, like Count Dracula was based on Vlad Tempest. Now, granted, he did not turn into a bat and fly around, but he had a house full of death chambers. So, he would kill people and drink their blood. They also have a legend of Native Americans that have, something in that particular thing with when when they have that it's not like the Wendigo, but it's a Native American legend of a Native American who was like bloodthirsty. I can't exactly explain it. You actually have to get either a Cherokee, a Creek, or a Tappahannock to actually explain the legend because it's an East Coast Indian legend, and he's basically like a vampire, but he killed his enemies and drank blood out of their skulls or some shit and gained their power. And until he was stopped, it's kind of what he did. I don't really remember how the whole thing goes. I just like got that little bit of it, so I just know that he was like the Native American vampire. And same thing with Native Americans turning into animals and werewolves. That's a full lore from tribe to tribe. That's like a whole total lore. Has nothing to do with Coyote the Trickster because Coyote the Trickster was like one of the guys, but Coyote the Trickster really didn't like fuck with tribes like talking about. He kind of caused problems for people who were not non-Native American. But the shape-shifting ability has been a Native American lore from all tribes. There's not a tribe that does not have a Native American lore of shape-shifting. So for supernatural to not exist and for us to have all these things and legends and shit, something has to be right. Everybody can't tell the same tale. So somebody went through everybody and told everybody the same legends, or we're all just like prisoners in the Matrix. No, we're not gonna put anything past us. But for the most part, as I close out, I strongly believe in supernatural stuff. I'm not gonna try to cram that down your throat, but you should probably do research or respond. Let me know how you guys feel. Let me know if we could do a forum. If I ever figure out how to make YouTube live on this computer, I'm doing it. All right. I'm James Williams. Scuff Number 2. Be seeing you.